Lonely Billionaire CEO's incredible transformation revealed when a stranger whispered, "Be my guest." Jack Harrington, a 45-year-old tech titan, could buy anything he wanted. Yet, here he was, sitting alone in his penthouse surrounded by trophies of his success, awards, stock certificates, and accolades from industry peers. His heart felt as heavy as the investment portfolios displayed on his wall. Silhouetted against the breathtaking skyline of Silicon Valley, Jack was a king in a castle that echoed with solitude. He sipped his black coffee, its bitterness a perfect match for the emptiness that gnawed at him. In that moment, the world outside seemed alive. Jack stepped into a quaint café that smelled of baked goods and something sweeter: community. Laughter rang through the air, and people talked, shared, and connected. He watched as a young woman painted vibrantly colored canvases that splashed joy against the stark white walls. She moved with grace, passion igniting her every brush stroke, her spirit a stark contrast to his polished yet hollow existence. Then, their eyes met. "Be my guest," she whispered, her voice soft but earnest as she gestured at the easel beside her. Jack felt something shift inside him, a flicker of hope he hadn't felt in ages. Who was this woman? This Mia, living freely in a world that seemed out of reach for him? As he approached, the intoxicating pull of her creativity drew him in. He could almost smell the paint mixing with air thickened by dreams, something he desperately craved. Jack quickly realized that Mia and her friends grappled with real challenges. They shared meals, laughter, and their stories over limited resources, a trait of community he had long forgotten amid conference calls and deal-making. Conversations buzzed, fingers traced the outlines of colorful designs, and fragments of joyous moments spilled like paint across the floor, reminding him of backyard barbecues in his childhood, where warmth replaced the clinking of champagne glasses. But as the warmth enveloped him, he felt something else creep in: guilt. Here he was, a billionaire wandering through a life of underfunded dreams. Those young artists had a passion worth more than the wealth in his bank account. In a quiet moment, seated at a table filled with vibrant creativity, he felt the weight of his fortune like chains around his heart. The laughter was a stark reminder that he had chosen isolation over connection. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Just then, an old colleague walked in, his harsh laughter cutting through the café's warmth. Toby, the epitome of corporate ambition, spotted Jack and ambushed him with disparaging words about mingling with artists. His dismissive tone rattled Jack's newfound tether to Mia's world, igniting fears of judgment from those who had shaped his career. Suddenly, standing amidst the vibrant chaos, Jack questioned everything he believed about success and worth. Would stepping into the light of this colorful life mean abandoning everything he had built? Or could it mean saving himself before it was too late? As the tensions hummed in the air, Jack felt the richness of community swirl around him. The question lingered in his mind: could he step away from the empire of solitude and embrace the warmth of a world he had begun to rediscover? Jack stood frozen, torn between the world he had constructed and the one that called to him with an undeniable allure. Mia's eyes sparkled with creativity, anchoring him to a moment he never wanted to end. But Toby's voice was a harsh reminder of who he might be leaving behind if he let this feeling take root. "Jack, you think playing with paint can solve your problems?" Toby mocked, crossing his arms, confidence bubbling. The café grew quiet, heads turned. Jack's heart raced not from Toby's taunts, but at the realization that he had spent years overwhelmed by judgment like this. Mia, sensing the shift, stepped closer, a shield against Toby's bitterness. "Art isn't just playing," she said softly, her sincerity lighting up her features. "It's therapy, it's connection, and sometimes, it's the only way to feel alive." Jack remembered the rush of ideas he had when founding his company, that spark of creativity that had driven him day and night. "This is just different," he defended softly, looking between Mia and Toby, as if pleading for understanding from both. Toby shrugged, dismissing the moment with a wave. "You, of all people, should know that you can't run away from who you are. You've built this empire. Don't throw it away for some whim." And there it was, the contradiction Jack had wrestled with for years. His empire, built on innovation, had slowly evolved into a cage of luxury that suffocated every ounce of joy. The laughter around him felt like a distant echo of the satisfaction he used to chase in his younger days. Mia broke the tension with steps towards Jack, whispering, "You are not what others think of you. You're more than a title, Jack. You can still paint your future however you want." Her voice was a soft assurance, reaffirming the flicker of hope ignited earlier. It struck a chord deep within him. The café started buzzing again, and Jack's focus narrowed on Mia. He recalled moments of spontaneity, of living in the moment rather than calculating every move for maximum return. Maybe this wasn't about abandoning his empire, maybe it was about adding color to it. "What if I stay here?" he asked, half afraid of his own words. "What if I could blend these worlds? My resources, your creativity. We could build something authentic, together." Mia's smile widened, her energy contagious. "You're not just a billionaire, Jack. You can be a force for good, a way to uplift artists, to inspire." But in the back of his mind, the doubts lingered. Would others accept him? Had his years of distance created an unbridgeable gap between him and those who felt authentic bonds? Just then, a child entered the café, wide-eyed and captivated by Mia's work. Clutching a crumpled dollar, the little girl hesitated before approaching. "Can you show me how to paint?" she asked with pure resolution, and in that simple request, the air drew together in a shared heartbeat. Jack's heart raced. Perhaps this was at the moment when he could redefine his worth. The world painted in warmth and laughter beckoned him. "Sure," Mia said, kneeling to meet the girl's earnest gaze. "What would you like to create?" As Jack watched, hope surged inside him. Maybe he could be part of something bigger than his financial success. Maybe art could bridge his past and potential future. But as that dangerous yet exhilarating thought washed over him, Toby's condescending grin pierced his fleeting moment of clarity. "You really think you can change, Jack? You think leaving that life behind won't come with consequences?" Was he strong enough to embrace this transformation? Would he dare take the leap, or would fear of judgment pull him back into solitude? The question hung heavily in the air, leaving Jack on the brink of a precipice. Would he step forward into the unknown, or retreat into the familiar comfort of his gilded cage? Jack swallowed hard, his world teetering on a knife's edge. The laughter of the café blended into a low hum, an unsettling backdrop to his internal struggle. The familiar whirlwind of Toby's scorn echoed in his ears, its sharpness only amplified by the warmth radiating from Mia and the little girl, full of possibility. But as he glanced at Mia, kneeling and giving her full attention to the child, Jack felt a flicker of warmth against the cold doubt whispering in his mind. That simple moment of connection, the excitement coloring Mia's expressions, reminded Jack of the passion he'd felt long ago before corporate life wrapped him in its unforgiving grip. And that voice, Toby's voice, still echoed within him, louder than he wanted. Could he really change? Could he turn his back on the empire he'd forged, built from the sweat and ambition of countless midnight hours? Mia glanced back at him, her gaze gently probing. "You've got to choose this moment, Jack. If you want to blend these worlds, you need to be brave." "Brave," he repeated, the word lingering on his tongue. All his life he'd chased success, believing it would fill him up, but that emptiness clawed at him even amidst the accolades. He felt torn between what he had achieved and who he might become. "Okay, I'll try." The words escaped his lips before he could think too much about them. The child's eyes lit up with hope, and Jack felt something in him shift. "Really?" The child beamed, and the whole café seemed to breathe in her joy. "Yeah, let us do it together." Jack found his voice again, stronger now. A smile carved its way onto his face as he stepped closer to Mia and the girl, feeling a rush of exhilaration wash over him. "This is amazing!" the little girl exclaimed, her small fingers eager to join in the creation. "I want to paint a rainbow." A rainbow. The very concept, simple and bright, ignited something deep within Jack, colors blending, a fusion of experiences, backgrounds, and dreams. It encapsulated everything Jack hoped for and more. "We can do that," Mia encouraged. She handed the girl a paintbrush and a palette of vibrant hues. For a moment, Jack positioned himself next to them, the paintbrush in his own hand feeling foreign yet exciting. "So, where do we start?" he asked, still on the precipice of his transformation. As the child began to move the brush across canvas, Jack felt tugged into the pulse of creation. The thrill that had been missing from his world rushed back, fierce and alive. It was exhilarating and terrifying all at once that he stole glances at Mia. Her eyes sparkled with admiration and understanding. She resembled the guiding star in the storm cloud of his messy world, reminding him of who he could be, but in that moment of newfound clarity, Toby's sneering laughter returned to haunt him. "You think paint can fix the cracks, Jack? Life isn't that simple." The weight of his friend's disbelief struck hard, overshadowing the joy blossoming in the café. Was he making a fool of himself? Were these moments worth the inevitable judgment that would follow? The doubts nagged at him, threatening to pull him back into inertia. "Jack." Mia turned to face him, sensing the turmoil swirling within. "You don't have to have it all figured out. Just paint your truth." Her words were soft yet powerful, grounding him amid the chaos. As he dipped the brush into the paint, the first stroke hesitated while he waged a silent war against the fears that gripped him. Then, almost instinctively, he pressed the brush to the canvas. In that moment, everything felt possible. A sudden rush of exhilaration washed over Jack as colors erupted under his strokes, each movement freeing him further from his past. But just as he began to lose himself in the art, the café door swung open again with a harsh creak, catching everyone's attention. A tall figure stepped inside, casting a long shadow. Familiarity washed over Jack, an unsettling sensation brewing in his gut. He looked up, heart pounding. Could this new arrival disrupt everything he was beginning to build? Jack's heart raced as he registered the face of the newcomer. Nathan, his former business partner, strode confidently into the café, exuding charisma like a magnet. Jack felt a chill creep down his spine. Their last conversation had ended in a heated argument, with Nathan insisting Jack was throwing his life away by pursuing dreams outside the corporate rat race. The laughter and chatter around him dimmed. Nathan spotted him, a glint of confidence in his eyes that made Jack uncomfortable. He was the embodiment of everything Jack had distanced himself from, yet here he was, in full vigor, ready to stir the pot. "Jack." Nathan's voice sliced through the café's warm atmosphere. He approached, his presence too large to ignore. Jack shifted his attention back to the canvas, but the image of the bright rainbow he started to paint felt less vibrant now, overshadowed by the weight of Nathan's expectations. "Mia." He heard Nathan call as he came closer. The excitement softened as she looked between the two men, feeling the tension all around. "Hey, Nathan." She offered a hesitant smile, clearly unsure of how to navigate the sudden shift in energy. Jack wanted to say something, anything, but the words burned like a hidden ember in his throat. His fingers tightened around the paintbrush. "Are you still playing with crayons, Jack?" Nathan's laughter struck like a hammer, aimed directly at the insecurities Jack had only just started to mend. "I can't believe you traded our success for this." A knot formed in Jack's gut. He could almost hear Toby's voice echoing in agreement. Doubt wrapped around him, colder than before, nearly paralyzing him. But Mia, noticing his struggle, stepped closer. "Actually, we're creating something beautiful." Her voice was steady. "Bold. Sometimes, Jack knows how to paint his truth when the world tells him otherwise. Jack's heart swelled at her words, but Nathan's smirk only deepened. Truth? You think this is truth? What does that even mean? A dreamer's fantasy? Truth doesn't pay the bills, sweetheart. Behind Jack, he heard laughter echoing from other café patrons, sharing in Nathan's amusement. His face burned, his mind spinning. The laughter felt like needles sharp and poisoned. Jack, don't let him, Mia urged softly, glancing at him with a look that dared him to stand firm. Taking a breath, Jack turned to face Nathan. Maybe this is who I want to be now. This is more than just paint, Nathan. It's about finding what really matters. Finding what matters. Pathetic. Nathan's laugh was empty and cold, cutting. You're going to ruin it all, Jack. Step away from the canvas before it's too late. The weight of the moment pressed down on Jack, and his body tensed. He felt the warmth of Mia's reassuring presence beside him. In that split second, he recognized the choices unfolding before him: succumb to Nathan's ridicule, or steel himself against it. With a determined glint in his eye, Jack dipped the brush again, dark colors bleeding lush and bright across the canvas. No, Nathan. This is my truth. My choice. The brush whipped confidently, each stroke a declaration. Laughter trailed off, replaced by an intrigued silence from those around. Jack could feel the energy shifting, and for the first time, he saw flickers of admiration instead of judgment. Be careful, Jack. You might just paint yourself into a corner, Nathan retorted, his voice tinged with disdain. Jack's pulse quickened, but he didn't flinch. Maybe, but I'd rather face that corner than hide behind a status or an empire. As the paint mingled, vibrant hues flowed like the strength building inside him. He could see the world through a different lens now, full of possibilities. Keep it up, Jack, Mia whispered, her encouragement felt electric against the weight of doubt. Just as a burst of confidence surged in Jack, Nathan stepped closer, eyes narrowing. You really think you can change, don't you? Suddenly, an uneasy feeling settled in Jack's stomach. Maybe change wasn't just about emboldening strokes on a canvas, it was about facing the ghosts of his past head-on. But as he painted, a tiny flicker of hope flickered anew. I want to try. I've given up control for too long, Jack replied, feeling the paintbrush quiver against the canvas. Nathan opened his mouth to retort, but an unexpected sound pulled everyone's attention. A phone buzzed loudly from the corner table, and all eyes darted toward the screen. What now? Jack thought, watching as a look of panic washed over Nathan's face. The revelation on the screen looked startling, almost life-altering. Jack's grip on the brush refined with curiosity. Just what secrets lay beneath the surface, and how would this shift their lives again? Nathan's expression twisted into a mask of disbelief, his casual confidence cracking like glass. Jack's breath caught in his throat, his focus shifting from vibrant hues on canvas to the unfolding drama before him. The phone screen illuminated the café like a spotlight, revealing a news article that sent a jolt through the room. CEO Nathan Price resigns amid scandal, it read in bold letters. Jack couldn't help but feel a strange sense of satisfaction at the headline. It was a moment he never expected, one that, deep down, he had always hoped would come. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Patrons leaned in, eyes wide with intrigue. Nathan, half turned toward the source of the commotion, clenched his jaw. What is this? He muttered under his breath, his bright skin suddenly washed in a ghostly pallor. Jack couldn't shake the feeling that the man's entire world was unraveling before their eyes. Mia, do you see this? Jack whispered, his voice barely above a sigh. She nodded, her eyes darting between Nathan and the screen, an uneasiness settling into her stomach as questions swirled. What did you do, Nathan? Mia asked, and even her voice had softened, the underlying pity unmistakable. What happened? It's nothing, Nathan snapped, casting a quick glare in their direction, but the venom in his tone was muted. Yet Jack felt emboldened. In that moment, as Nathan's facade cracked, his own self-doubt began to erode. Here was proof that even the untouchable could fall, that the world of success Nathan had championed was built on flimsy ground. "Seem like you finally found a bad headline, huh?" Jack's words felt charged with a new energy, a thrill pulsing through him. With a bitter laugh, Nathan straightened his back, regaining some of his bravado. "I'll survive this. You'll see. I'm not finished. Not by a long shot." "Survive? Is that what it's about for you?" Jack shook his head, his grip on the paintbrush tightening. "You think success can save you?" Nathan opened his mouth to respond, but the words got stuck somewhere between his ego and reality. Instead, he stood there, trembling, the weight of the news pressing heavy on him, exposing fears Jack had seen lurking behind his business partner's bravado. The silence in the café grew thick, drawing eyes like moths to a flame. Every patron was now a witness to the unraveling of a titan, and the unease burgeoned as unspoken judgments drifted like smoke into the air. The laughter had dissipated, feelings of pity and intrigue hung achingly between them. But Jack wasn't done. He took a bold step forward, his heart hammering in his chest. "Maybe now you'll understand what it means to lose everything you thought mattered. Maybe it's time to find what really does." The vulnerability in Nathan's gaze flared and then flickered out as quickly as it had appeared. "You think painting is going to make you a better man, Jack? Maybe it already has." Jack's voice was unwavering, even as a storm of emotions brewed within him. Mia's eyes sparkled as her lips curled into a proud smile while the tension shifted. It felt triumphant, empowering. As Nathan's face reddened, a murmur rippled through the café again. "This is just the beginning," he said, standing his ground defiantly. "You're all going to remember this moment when I come back stronger." Before Jack could respond, he noticed something strange, a brief glimmer of movement in Nathan's pocket. Nathan's hand shot down, fingers fumbling, and he pulled out another phone. The expression that washed over Nathan's face then was something Jack had never seen before. The once confident businessman was now clearly rattled, caught off guard by whatever was on that other screen. "Give me a minute," he barked, stepping back from the crowd. It was shocking to see the billionaire, typically so composed, looking genuinely unhinged. Curiosity gripped Jack as Nathan's face morphed through various emotions: anger, confusion, and finally, dread. "What's happening?" Mia leaned closer, as if sharing in Jack's haste to uncover the truth hiding behind Nathan's stoic mask. The other patrons seemed to agree, their silent tension palpable. There, on the screen, was not just another article. It was a video. And the moment Nathan hit play, Jack knew everything would change again. Would this revelation be Nathan's final blow, or would it somehow bring the battle between them to a fever pitch? Jack found himself holding his breath, curious about what lay ahead, and whether he would be able to emerge from this tangled web of ego, ambition, and the reality they both faced together. The moment Nathan hit play, the café fell into a hushed silence. The patrons, once murmuring with excitement, now leaned in closer, mesmerized by the unfolding drama. The video began with a shaky camera focusing on a dimly lit room, the background murmur of a crowd vibrant yet distant. A figure came into view, and the moment Jack laid eyes on the man, a chill slid down his spine. It was Roberto, Nathan's former assistant, the one who had left abruptly just weeks ago. The video was shaky, yet the message was clear. Roberto's voice broke through the gloom. "When I worked for Nathan Price, I saw things I couldn't turn a blind eye to anymore." Jack's heart raced as each word dripped with regret and trepidation. Mia squeezed his hand, her expression a mirror of shock. Nathan's eyes were glued to the screen, a mix of anger and fear fighting to surface. The video went on, revealing shadows of financial discrepancies and whispers about unethical practices tucked away behind a polished corporate exterior. Jack felt a strange exhilaration, a vindication of the worries he voiced before. This was the moment he had wished for, yet knowing it was tied to someone's personal suffering gave him pause. Who would betray you like this? Jack thought, wrestling with a swell of sympathy toward Nathan. Was their bond deeper than he had assumed? A hint of something softer flickered within him, buried under the triumph he felt. You think you can cover this up? Roberto's voice echoed with a mocking tone, an eerie delight in the accusation. Now it all comes out. You've built your empire on lies, Nathan. With each passing second, Nathan seemed to sink deeper into his own darkness, the brilliant glow of his confidence now an ephemeral wisp. He moved erratically from foot to foot, eyes darting as if looking for a way to escape the truth being laid bare. I can explain. Nathan finally shouted, the defensiveness almost desperate. Jack stepped closer, studying the man he had both wanted to emulate and tear down. Nathan's ties to power had blinded him, weighed him down. But now, exposed, he was a man unmoored. Mia's grip on Jack tightened, as if sensing the shift in the air. Maybe he can turn it around, she whispered, the tentative hope in her voice contrasting sharply with the frantic energy in Nathan's eyes. I don't think so, Mia. This isn't just a headline. This is his life unraveling. Jack felt empowered not only by the fall of Nathan but also by the possibility that it could lead to change. Nathan turned sharply, eyes filled with rage and despair. I want to let them dictate my life. You don't understand what it takes to succeed. You think success is measured in numbers and towering buildings? Jack shot back, tears of frustration pricking at the corners of his eyes. What about the people you hurt along the way? Will you even care when this is all over? The crowd around them let out a collective gasp, the weight of Jack's words sinking in like a stone. For the first time, Nathan faltered in a way that stripped him of the bravado he wore like armor. Who are you, really? Jack pressed, the surge of vulnerability stripped bare in that moment. Is this the man you want to be when this is all finished? Nathan's expression wavered, the confident veneer cracking completely. For a fleeting second, he looked almost human. The realization rippled through the room, a collective breath being held as they waited to see how Nathan would respond, but then, just as quickly, he straightened his back and forced a smile that didn't reach his eyes. What's done is done. You'll all see. I'll come back. Stronger than ever. Jack felt a knot tighten in his stomach. Was Nathan truly capable of changing, or was this just another mask? The café buzzed with tension, hearts racing, and then the video abruptly ended. A black screen replaced the chaos, leaving murmurs of disbelief in its wake. As Nathan clenched his fist, Jack couldn't help but wonder, would this be the moment that defined Nathan's transformation, or the beginning of a much darker journey? The stakes felt impossibly high, the air thick with uncertainty. And as Nathan's eyes locked with Jack's, it felt as if the battle lines were drawn yet again. What would he choose next? Jack could feel the answer lingering in the air, but it was a truth that remained just out of reach. The next chapter awaited them both, filled with the potential for redemption or ruin. Jack watched Nathan, a storm brewing behind those once confident eyes. The café buzzed with their tense silence, each table occupied by a crowd that seemed to lean in, hungry for more revelations. What had started as a spectacle now morphed into something heavier. With each tick of the clock, the weight of expectation settled like an anchor on Jack's chest. What do you want, Nathan? Jack's voice cut through the murmur, quieter yet steady, anchoring the chaos around them. The question hung between them, waiting for an answer. Nathan's gaze flickered back to the muted screen, the shame almost palpable. I want you wouldn't understand. I have everything I need. His laughter came out hollow, a desperate attempt to mask the vulnerability gnawing inside him. Mia stepped forward, her presence a calming force. You may have everything, Nathan. But it looks like you're losing yourself right now. Her voice soft, yet unwavering, held a flicker of compassion that cut through Nathan's bravado. the room fell silent again, each patron processing the gravity of her words. Jack held his breath, watching as Nathan's facade fractured further. He looked like a man standing on the edge of a precipice, and Jack felt a mix of dread and hope stir inside him. "What if I told you it doesn't have to end this way?" Nathan asked suddenly, his voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. "There are ways to come back from this." Jack stepped closer, driven by raw curiosity. "And what are those ways? More lies? More manipulation?" It felt good to push back, to challenge the very core of the man he once admired. "No. Listen," Nathan implored, desperation dancing in his eyes. "I know I've made mistakes. But I can change. I need time. I need someone to believe in me." Jack was taken aback. Was Nathan asking for forgiveness? The once untouchable billionaire now seemed as fragile as glass, and the urge to comfort surged in Jack. Yet, uncertainty loomed larger. Belief is not enough. You can't just ask for it without showing real change. Murmurs rose amongst the crowd, a cacophony of judgment and sympathy mixing in the air. Jack could feel the other patrons weighing Nathan's words, dissecting the man who was desperately trying to reclaim his narrative. The moment felt pivotal, not just for Nathan, but for everyone watching. "What if you were honest, Nathan?" Mia added, her voice soft yet firm. "What if you laid everything bare and faced the consequences?" Jack glanced at her, surprised. Her empathy surprised him, but he wasn't certain that openness was what Nathan needed. The stakes were too high for all of them, the betrayal too fresh. Scenarios flickered through his mind, each one darker than the last. What if Nathan had manipulated them all, even now? And yet, there was a glimmer of truth, a hint of accountability in the way Nathan clutched at the fragility of his pride. The silence in the café thickened once more. Jack felt the weight of the moment, life, choices, redemption hanging in the balance. "You have to start by admitting what you've done, Nathan. Not just to us, but to yourself." Nathan swallowed hard as the room awaited his decision. Jack could see him battling against the urge to retreat, to scramble back into the safety of the lies he had built. Then, as if a glimmer of resolve sparked in Nathan's eye, he took a deep breath. "Okay," he said finally, voice trembling with grit. "I'll do it. I'll go out there and tell them everything." The crowd stirred, surprise rippling through them. A mix of hope and skepticism filled the air. Nathan looked directly at Jack, eyes locked in a battle of wills. "But if I do this, you're going to need to stand with me. Can you do that?" Jack's heart raced with the weight of the request, a turn he had not expected. Was he ready to stand by a man he had fought so hard to condemn? The decision loomed in front of him, heavy and enticing. What happens next could change everything, he found himself whispering, realizing that the stakes had shifted once more. Redemption, it seemed, had its own price. And as Nathan stepped back, preparing to lay the truth bare before the world, Jack's answer felt closer than ever, yet still far away, like a treasure just out of reach. What would the truth reveal? What would it cost them both? The café hummed with restless energy as Nathan squared his shoulders, a flicker of determination replacing the uncertainty in his eyes. He took a step back, breath hitching in his throat, as if preparing for a dive into icy waters. Jack felt his heart thump in his chest, every beat echoing the weight of the moment. Had Nathan truly made his choice? Mia's presence beside Jack felt like a steadying force. "You can do this," she encouraged, her voice barely above a whisper. Jack could sense her belief, how it wrapped around Nathan like a soft blanket, adding warmth to the cold reality of what was to come. "Just be honest," Jack added, his own voice surprisingly firm. "You owe them that, and yourself too." The tension in the air thickened, a charged silence as the gathered crowd awaited Nathan's next move. He looked out at the sea of faces, some curious, some skeptical, and some filled with an eager longing for the truth. Nathan's fingers twitched, and for a heartbeat, Jack feared he might back down. But then Nathan took a deep breath, lifting his head as if he were about to conquer a mountain. Jack saw the shift, a man shedding his skin, ready to confront the demons he had avoided for too long. "Look, I've been running from my past," Nathan began, voice shaking but steady. "And I can't pretend anymore. I've hurt people I care about." Gasps trickled through the crowd, some leaning in closer to catch every word. Nathan glanced at Mia, then at Jack, his gaze steadying him. "I've lied, cheated, and manipulated," he continued, the pain in his voice cutting through the air like a knife. "But I want to change. I want to be better, for myself and for everyone I've hurt." Jack felt the weight of those words press down like a warm flood. The atmosphere shifted, whispers rippling through the café. It felt like a cathartic release, the tension knotting in the shoulders of listeners slowly unwinding. "But change isn't easy," Nathan went on, vulnerability painting his words with raw honesty. "I've been a coward. I thought having everything meant being untouchable." A chuckle, self-deprecating and bittersweet, escaped his lips. "But I've lost so much. I don't want to lose any more people." Jack's heart softened a fraction. In that moment, he saw the man behind the facade, the hurt, the fear, the desire for redemption. Still, doubt gnawed at him. Could Nathan truly change? The café erupted into murmurs again, the crowd digesting Nathan's confession. Some faces reflected understanding and sadness, others wore disbelief, skeptical of his ability to change. Jack felt the weight of expectation shift, awareness building in the room, a tangible energy vibrating under the surface. Nathan's eyes scanned the crowd, searching for connection, for understanding. "I know I've broken trust," he said, voice tinged with desperation. "But I'm asking for a chance to prove I can do better. I want to make amends, however long it takes." The honesty hung heavily in the air, forcing Jack to confront his own emotions. Could he really support Nathan after all this? The room held its breath, ready to upheave into a new narrative, and Jack's decision felt more crucial than ever. "I'll stand by you," Jack found himself saying, the words slipping out before he could think. The relief in Nathan's expression was palpable, something like hope igniting behind his eyes. But before anyone could respond, the door swung open with a gust of cold wind, an unfamiliar figure stepping in. The café fell silent again, the mood shifting as the stranger paused at the threshold, eyes darting around the room. Something about the presence sent a chill down Jack's spine. Who were they, and what did they want? As the stranger began to stride toward Nathan, tension crackled back into the air, a new challenge emerging just as the first battle seemed to find resolution. Jack's heart quickened. What new revelation awaited them? What did this newcomer know about Nathan's truth? The figure stepped further into the café, a tall silhouette with an air of unyielding confidence. Jack's heart raced. The stranger's energy was electric, sparking an unease that rippled through the crowd. Conversations halted, almost as if everyone was collectively holding their breath in anticipation. Nathan's expression shifted from resolve to shock, a familiar face etched in his features. Jack squinted, trying to piece it together. Was that recognition he saw in his eyes? The woman moved closer, an intense gaze locking onto Nathan with a fierce intensity. Jack felt the tension tighten again, knotting in his stomach. "Emma," Nathan finally breathed, barely audible. Jack noticed a flicker of panic cross his face. He hadn't expected anyone from that part of Nathan's life to show up, not now, not during his moment of truth. Emma crossed her arms, her brows furrowing in a mix of concern and challenge. "You think you can just walk away?" Her voice was sharp, slicing through the hum of whispered conversations. Jack could feel the weight of her words settling heavily in the room. "After everything you've done?" Nathan's resolve faltered. Words hung in the air, unspoken and heavy. Jack felt an urge to step between them, to shield Nathan from the past that was crashing into their present. But it wasn't his place. Nathan had to face this, and it seemed he was teetering on the edge, one misstep away from tumbling back into old habits. Nathan started, but his voice cracked. He looked from Emma to Mia, his newfound allies, searching for the strength to carry on. You can't just erase the past, Nathan. You can't convince everyone you're different because you said a few pretty words, Emma pressed, her eyes glistening with unshed emotion. You think people will just forgive you for hurting them? For lying to me? A murmur surged through the audience. Jack could see empathy in some eyes, judgment in others. If Nathan had hoped for understanding, it was clear he was not getting it from Emma. Nathan stepped visibly back, the weight of her accusation wrapping around him like chains. I know I can't change what I did. You can't change anything without action, she interrupted, her voice hardening. You think talking it out here will make it all disappear? You owe me and everyone else who trusted you the chance to see if you mean it. A heavy silence settled in the café. It was a challenge, a gauntlet thrown down in front of Nathan. Jack held onto Mia's hand tightly, feeling her grip grow tighter in response to Nathan's growing distress. They were all witnesses now, and the stakes had skyrocketed. Emma, please. Nathan's voice was a whisper now. That flicker of hope Jack had seen earlier waned. She deserves the truth, Nathan. You know that. Jack finally found his voice. It was almost instinctual, standing up for the honesty Nathan had claimed to want. Maybe I can't be the person I want to be overnight. He turned to the crowd, desperation etched across his face. But I have to try. I just need a chance. Emma narrowed her eyes. Then prove it. Jack wasn't sure who felt more vulnerable at that moment, Nathan, facing an unexpected adversary from his past, or Emma, who carried the heartache of betrayal in her chest. The air in the café was thick with anticipation, more than just Nathan's redemption at stake. Can people really change? Jack thought, wondering if a single moment could alter the course of a person's life. He watched Nathan, the flickering flame of hope struggling against the winds of doubt. But what happened next could shift everything. Will anyone else stand with Nathan right now? A voice called from the back, cutting through the tension, a plea that ignited Jack's racing heart. Will you stand up for the one who has stumbled time and again? The question dangled in the air, heavy with uncertainty. Would others join him? As Jack looked around, he realized the answer lay not only with Nathan but with the collective heart of the crowd. Would they give him another chance? The room expelled breaths in anticipation, leaving Jack uncertain. Would this be a moment of unity, or would the shadows of the past consume them all? Jack's heart raced as he faced the crowd, emotions swirling like a chaotic storm. The damp air filled with tension. He could feel the weight of every gaze upon him, some curious, some skeptical. Others held a flicker of hope, yearning for something more. He turned to Nathan. This isn't just your moment. It's ours too. But you have to take this seriously. Nathan nodded, fear and determination battling within his eyes. Emma watched closely, arms crossed defiantly. Jack could sense the unspoken stakes. This was more than a plea for forgiveness, it was a showdown of closure versus consequence. Jack stepped toward Nathan, establishing a fragile bond. We've all made mistakes. But it's in the admitting, the correcting, that we show we're not defined by our past. It's what's next that will matter. The crowd seemed to hold its breath, caught in an emotional limbo. The silence was heavy, yet electrifying. But I can't do this alone. We have to stand together, all of us. Jack called, his brow furrowing. If we only follow the shadows of our past, then where does that leave us? The café erupted into a buzz, an emotional current surging through the patrons. People began stepping forward, voices rising. We believe in second chances. A man called, a warmth in his expression. Everyone deserves a chance to be better. Stand with him. Another woman chimed, and slowly, one by one, hands raised in solidarity. The palpable energy swirled thicker, mingling with hope and compassion, focusing all eyes on Nathan. Mia pressed closer to Jack, her grip invigorating. You can do this, Nathan. Just be real with them. About everything. The confidence on Nathan's face wavered as he faced Emma. I never wanted to hurt you. I was just afraid, he confessed, voice raw. Afraid of losing everything I thought mattered. I thought success meant power, but it only led to isolation. I see that now. Tears glistened in Emma's eyes, but her expression remained stoic. Our connection was built on trust, Nathan. Do you know how much that meant? Nathan nodded. And you are right to call me out. It's easy to say I'll change. I need to own my actions, but I can't do it alone. He glanced around at the gathering crowd, their eyes holding the promise of redemption. In that moment, a bridge formed between Nathan and everyone present, a connection fueled by shared humanity, a collection of stories burdened with mistakes yet bursting with the promise of change. What do you want from me? Nathan asked, vulnerability etched into his features. I want you to come clean, Emma responded, her voice breaking slightly. Not just to those you've hurt, but to yourself. Only then can you begin to heal. Silence filled the café, hearts collectively thudding in rhythm. Watching Nathan was like witnessing a chrysalis teeter on the edge of transformation. I'll show you that I can do that, he declared, stepping forward, and the crowd drew closer. Not just for the success I once chased, but for the connections I need. I can't ignore the impact I've had. The pain was real, but so is my commitment to change. A solemn nod followed in the crowd. Jack felt a sense of urgency. This was the moment, the turning point where past mistakes met resolute resolve. Then let us hear your truth, Jack urged, voice steadier. Your way back starts now. And with that, Nathan swallowed hard, and his countenance softened. I'll share everything, no more hiding. The air thick with anticipation, even the whispers spun slower, drifting toward an eventual catharsis. Nathan began speaking, revelations spilling from his lips like the gaps in a dam finally being released. He shared details of the decisions that led him astray, the choices blinded by ambition, and the damaging fallout that echoed through relationships. Murmurs of acknowledgement rippled through the audience. People began to lean closer, painful truths colliding with compassionate hearts. I let my ambition drown out loyalty. I want to be better. I don't know how yet, but I will figure it out, Nathan whispered, every word winding tighter into the fabric of emotion anchoring the moment. As the weight of his confessions filled the air, Jack felt his own misconceptions shift around him. This was the essence of being human: the struggles, the failures, and the resolve to stand up again. The crowd, once weary, began to hum with acceptance of a beautifully messy reality. Change won't happen overnight, Jack thought, his heart swelling with shared understanding. But we will face it together. A spontaneous applause erupted gently at first, then it escalated, a symphony of release that echoed the heart of their unwavering hope. Sobs mixed with cheers as a community began to mend an invisible rift. In that moment, Jack understood it wasn't just about Nathan anymore. It was about family, connection, and the power of forgiveness. Emma moved toward Nathan, a flicker of resolve dancing in her gaze. I'll stand with you, if you stand with yourself, she said gently, her words wrapping around them like a lifeline. As he stood there, surrounded by newfound allies, Nathan looked at Jack and Mia, gratitude washing over him, emotion swirling around like paint on a palette that once seemed blank. Jack smiled back, a warmth radiating from his chest, feeling there was more ahead than shadows. Perhaps this was what it meant to flourish, a realization that came through collaboration and compassion, tethering them all in hope. Now, more than ever, the world held a brilliant canvas before them, eager for new beginnings and endless color. If this story struck a chord within you, you need to subscribe immediately to catch the next exclusive moments in this journey. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and lift our community higher. Comment your reactions and feelings about this powerful transformation. And don't wait not even one more second to share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need this message of hope today. True fans know the value of support. Let us spread this inspiration far and wide.